Hello everyone. Welcome to Me Oregon Transcription and Content Creation Services and the Sparkle and Shine interview series. Today I will have the lovely Anita Thomas on, and we just got to get her in. We actually did a trial run the other day and it was really quick, so let's pray for quickness again, all right? She is. There she goes. Look at that. Pretty quick. She's coming in. Facebook says adding. So we will see. There she is.
Yay!
Hi, sweet lady.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you wonderfully. How are you doing
Oh,
today?
I'm doing really good, thank you. How are
You
you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thankfully, I'm well again from
Yes.
whatever happened last week. So, yeah. So, anyways, everybody, thank you once again for tuning in. This is the Sparkle and Shine interview series with Kendall of Me Oregon Transcription and Content Creation Services. Today, we're going to talk to the lovely Anita Thomas, who is a stress release coach. We'll talk about stress. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about health. We'll talk about whatever happens, right?
Yep.
As you all know, this is less interview and more organic conversation. So, Anita, you know I don't have a lot of questions prepared,
Yes.
but I would love for you to share with everybody who you are, really quick, what you do, and let's get rolling.
Well, hi, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this. It's such a privilege. I am, like as you said, I'm Anita Thomas, and I call myself the stress release coach, and I'll tell you why in a little while. But I like to work with women who are just absolutely exhausted. You know, not the regular kind of tired where it's like you go to bed and you sleep and you get up and you're like, okay, let's do this again. But the kind of tired where rest just doesn't help. And you know, you've gone to the doctor and you're begging them, please help me figure out what's wrong, and they just say, "Oh, no, your tests are fine, you know, you're okay," and you know you're not okay. Everything is getting worse. I don't know if you've ever been there, Kendall, but I know a lot of women can really relate to that. But then, you know, you go to bed and it's like, I finally can sleep, and you go, and then that mind, I mean, the popcorn thoughts just flowing through your mind, and you just lay there wishing you had an off button. So those are the women that I like to work with, and I help them get their energy back um, and feel good again. You know, feel like their old self again, and yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, yeah. And as you can tell, Anita here is a very warm, bubbly, sparkly woman. And I have to tell you, super side note, but it might come up. Anita here, she loves to crochet just like me. So we're like the same people, but different.
Yeah, we are.
um, but listen, okay, thank you so much for sharing with us what you do, Anita. Um, you know, I have a question for you as it relates to the work that you do. What is it, or no, the question is, do you also work with women who do shift work, or maybe men who even do shift work? I know women is your preference, but do you work with people who like do shift work, or maybe work an off shift, or you know they work different shifts during the week, or maybe at nighttime? How do you work with women and people like that?
I really haven't had anyone like that come to me, but it's not out of the question. Certainly, I mean, that definitely messes with your ability to get the rest you need and be able to have the energy that you need. I know for a long period of my life, I think it was about 10 years or so, I worked mostly like 11 o'clock in the morning till about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I honestly think that contributed to a lot of my issues there, because it's really just not your natural, that's not how your body naturally wants to do it. So when you're working against it, um, yeah.
Yeah, because our bodies are set up to be up when the sun's up, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
historically through time and all sorts of things like that, you know, before modern society that we have today, it was you're up when the sun's up and you're down when the sun's down,
That's
right?
right. Yeah. I mean and
Yeah.
that's how we were created to be, you know, that's why we have day and night. So
Isn't that, what do they call that? They call that I know they say sleep-wake cycle, but that's not what I'm thinking of. What
yeah,
is it
you're
called?
talking about the circadian rhythm.
There you go. The
Mm-hmm.
see, she knows
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, the circadian rhythm, I mean, it's really important. I know for me as a woman, fortunately to date, knock on wood, right? I haven't had that level of exhaustion without a, a simple enough explanation, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know, pregnancy and breastfeeding. So,
Yeah.
right. And so I know that I have to take super good care of myself as it relates to sleep, as it relates to nutrition, as it relates to just all the things related to what it is that's stressing. Because obviously, even though pregnancy can be really awesome, it's also wreaks like serious havoc on the body.
Oh,
Like it
yeah.
puts the body into a state of stress,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know, Anita, with you being the stress release coach, one of the things that you like to do is you talk to women about the different types of stress there are
Mm-hmm.
and how beneficial or harmful all the types of stress can be, even at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because I kind of define stress maybe a little differently than some people, because we tend to think about, when I say stress, people tend to think about that emotion that you get. You know, that thing when you're stuck in traffic and you're late for a meeting, or, you know, if you have a tight deadline at work or something. So we're all familiar with that kind of stress. But stress is, I define it as anything that interferes with your body's normal function. So there are other things that stress your body, or that's, you know, that stress you, even though a lot of times it's not an emotion that's involved. So there's the emotional stress, of course. Then there's also physical stress, which you might think of that like exercise or when you exert yourself. Um, and so, and there's like what you said, not all stress is bad. Exercise can be a real benefit if you can recover from it. It's when you can't recover that it becomes more of a stress and more of a problem to your body. But then there's also something that's called chemical stress. And that's the stress that you get from toxins that you're exposed to, and electronic things, you know, like your phone and your tablet and your computer, lights, everything like
Yeah.
that. And then there's also toxins from things you put on your skin and things that we eat, you know. So much of our food, it kind of drives me crazy with so much of our food having pesticides on it. And it's like you think you're eating this really great food, but then you're eating all these other things along with it, you know. So those are all types of stress, and they do different things in your body, create different responses. And so, yeah, that is something that I enjoy talking to people about, and like, you know, let's look at it. Let's see what's really creating this problem. And a lot of times we're surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and sometimes I know in my family's health journey, me and my family on our health journey, um, it is that some of the things that some things surprise me in the way they disguise themselves. Here's
Mm-hmm.
Kangaroo Girl.
Yeah, I see her. Hi,
She
baby.
made her way up here. But yeah, so sometimes things surprise me because like I've been a little less diligent lately, but let's not go there. So like I look at food labels, and I look at, there are certain chemicals and certain toxins that as a family we choose to try to avoid to the best of our ability. However, I know that I've been surprised more than one time in that the same chemical has a different name
That's
that I
right.
didn't know of, or a few different names. And I'm like, oh my God, right? And
Yeah.
now I can get really stressed about that, right? Or I know, and this is something that I know you talk about because you talk about small nuggets and small changes and like little bite-sized pieces
Mm-hmm.
of information and change and all of that, you know, like, but I know, but you're right. It can be so surprising, so incredibly surprising, the
Yeah.
things that we find out that even we do to ourselves, like you know, when I stay up till 3 in the morning and I should have been in bed.
Yeah.
And I claim that I'm relaxing by doing extra crochet and watching 2 more, you know, episodes of some show. Or to the things that even just happen around us, like, I don't know, construction in the neighborhood, or, you know, cars that emergency vehicles flying down the road in the middle of the night. I mean, those things do affect us, don't they?
Well, they do. I mean, you can't help but be affected by those things because it is a disruption. And a lot of times, like you said, the emergency vehicles and stuff, I mean, that stuff is kind of startling too. Then it makes you start thinking, well, is everything okay? You know, what's going on? You can't help but think about that stuff. But you brought up a good point about the different names of things, because what that brings to mind is another piece that I love to talk about is sugar. And people are becoming more and more aware of how sugar is impacting our bodies now. And, you know, that has about, I think it's 56 different names that it might be on the labels. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
56? Mm-hmm. I can't even hold that many names in my head, like with people.
And when you see the list, it's like, I never even heard of some of this stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. And I do know that you love to talk about sugar, the effects of sugar on the body. Let's be very clear. She does like sugar. So does I. So do I, right?
Oh,
I mean, I have plenty of my coffee.
The biggest sugar addict. Junk food, yeah.
I mean, but we all love sugar. We all love sugar in its various forms. But like you just brought up, like, sugar has so many effects on our bodies, and like the way, like, you know, even my son reacts to the sugar versus the way my body might react to the sugar. I know that those two things can be different, and they can really, like, make big differences. And speaking of which, I know that you on your health journey, Anita, have had some real hard looks at sugar. and the way that it affected your body. I would love for you to just kind of share, just very briefly, if you would, like, just a couple little things that you learned along the way about how sugar was affecting you. Like, you know.
Sure. I just say hi to Karen. Thank you for joining us.
I do see Karen. Yeah. Karen's making comments there. She said, I've got this extra 56 pounds. It must be those 56 ingredients.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Charisma. Thanks for joining. So you were saying about my journey with sugar. Well, I mean, this could be a 2-hour dissertation over my life with sugar. But let's just say it started really, really young. I'll tell you, I love to tell my first memory of sugar. This is like ding, 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 you're a sugar addict. My first memory was when I was so little that I had to climb onto the chair and then climb onto the table. Because I was that small. And I remember sitting in the middle of the table with the sugar spoon in the bowl and just, you know. Until my mom comes in and she's like, what are you doing? But that, I mean, and I'm saying every day since then, I've either been desperately trying to get as much of it as I can or desperately trying not to eat it. So yeah, I have history with sugar. But yeah, it wasn't until, I mean, all the time I was a thin child. I wasn't really too unhealthy, allergies and stuff. But then I found out, I was thin. So, you know, everybody was like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you eat. You can eat anything you want.
Right.
That's one of my pet peeves. It's like, oh yeah, she's this big around, so it's not a problem. Then, you know, when I hit 35, things started to show up. Like, oh yeah, some of that sugar showing up on you, like Karen was saying. But yeah, I mean, and then it created other health problems later on, you know, like being pre-diabetic, and also that is, believe it or not, that was one of the biggest contributors to my chronic fatigue. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy how that can show up just like that and just make you just have that chronic fatigue. Because chronic fatigue, syndrome, and my very limited knowledge, is essentially a thyroid imbalance, but I didn't know sugar had something to do with that. That's really incredible.
Well, actually, yeah, it can have to do with the thyroid, but a lot of times it actually has to do with the gut imbalance. Have you ever heard of Candida?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a leaky gut. Well,
Uh,
that's how it was impacting me. It came from the Candida, and so I had
okay.
to. That was when. Well, there's another story, but that was what made me cry in the grocery store. So,
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you've seen that story or not, but yeah, that was because
No, but
I
we're
didn't have
gonna
a
go
clue what
look
to
for
do.
it now that you brought it up. Everybody go look for Anita's video about crying in the store. No, not to embarrass her, but to
Yeah.
encourage her and support her, because her journey is important. And your journey is part of the reason that you became a stress release coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you had a meandering path a little bit to coming to the online space to do your stress release coaching. Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you tell us a little bit about what or why you decided to be in the online space for the stress release coaching?
Oh, lovely. I love to. Well, so what happened is I have always been fascinated with reflexology. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's where you have nerve endings on your feet and your hands, different places through your body, and in working those nerve endings, it can relieve your stress, and that's just one of the many things it does. It's very good support for your health, for your body to create its own health. So I finally studied that. I mean, I think I learned about it when I was 9, and I just was totally fascinated by it. So I finally studied it formally and became a clinical reflexologist. So, I opened up my shop and I started seeing people. But my ultimate goal was always that I wanted to teach people how to use that to take care of their health. Well, of
Oh.
course, I'm doing this. I'm seeing one person at a time. So you come in and I take care of you, maybe the kids and see them. But I always wanted to be able to help more than one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I always kind of was looking for something, but I didn't think about taking it online. Well, then I had another bout with the chronic fatigue, and I ended up having to close that or kind of shut that down, and only had a few clients still coming to me. And then in the course of learning how to recover from my chronic fatigue, that's how I became a health coach. That's how I learned from that, and then I got certified as a health coach and brought the two together to make to make a program that I actually could help people with online. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. And basically, what I heard you say is, I once had a practice to teach people, to help people learn some things, but you wanted to do more. You wanted to teach more people. You wanted more people to experience the benefits of reflexology, of having less stress, of feeling better, of recovering, or recovering from any health issues or anything like that, especially
Mm-hmm.
chronic fatigue. And so, what better way than to use your resources in today's world and move into the online space where you could meet more people, you could work with more people. And I believe that you do group coaching. I know you have a book. We'll talk about that a little later, but
Mm-hmm.
you do most of your coaching in group. I know you do some one-on-one, but don't you mostly do group coaching?
Actually, I have mostly done one-on-one, and
Oh,
I am working on a group. I haven't,
that's what it is.
not sure what the start date is going to be for it yet, but yeah, I am working on group coaching. I'm really looking forward to that because it's more than just. It's wonderful that you and I can work together, but then when we have the group, then we also get the support of the other women. And they've done all these studies, and women really thrive in the group format. So I'm excited to do that.
Well, I think they always say, what is that? What I've heard before, that that like men have to be in a pack, right? But I think personally that really it's women who need to be in a pack, because in a pack is when we tend to, at least my experience is that we tend to be more powerful individually and together. I'm not saying that's not true about men, but we also don't always. And when we find a good group of supportive, encouraging, positive women, we tend not to bite each other's necks
Yeah.
very much. But And that's what I mean. I think that really, I think as women, we're more pack people, or schools of fish, if you want to think about it gently and delicately. I think
Yeah.
we're more like that than often is sort of shown to us. I don't think that's shown to us very much in today's world,
Yeah.
or at least I'm not seeing that.
Well, I think women have had to sort of become, what's the word I'm looking for? Like competitive, because we're trying to work in this men's world. But I think you're right. I mean, it's been my experience that when you get a group of women together who all have the same struggle and you're all trying to get to the same point, people are so supportive of each other. We really build each other up. So that's the kind of community that I'm trying to create with it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that you are such you are so kind, and you're so forgiving, and like in a very grace filled way. Like you're just very sweet about it. Not like Southern, like, oh, look at that sweet little Southern belle. I'm sure you have a side of that, but but in the sweet sort of chocolatey kind of way, right? Where it's like, oh, this tastes good. This is velvety and smooth.
Oh,
That's the
thank
kind of
you.
sweet that you are, Anita. And I know that that's something that always seems to come across whenever I talk with you, when I see you in groups, when we, chat on the online space or something like that. You just have this very sweet, kind, um, delicacy, not delicate, but delicacy, like decadent maybe,
Oh,
way of sort of coming across and making sure that people feel they feel courage and they feel lit up for themselves, which I know your clients have got to adore you for that.
no, thank you so much. Yeah, I love to build people up. That, you know, I don't know. It's so funny to hear you saying those things about me, but thanks. But yeah, I do. I love to make people feel. I like to make, I like to make it where people feel their value, because that's what I do in my group. Is my Facebook group, is because I think women don't feel their value, and I have been that way for many years. Where you feel like you have to say yes to everything, you have to make everybody else happy, and I think that's really what happened with me. And I see so many other people like that too, where it's like you just put your own health on the back burner so long, and then that's why we get blindsided by it. That's why we wake up one
Hmm.
day and we're like, where did this extra 56 pounds come from? Why am I having these health issues that I never
Yeah.
had before? You know, Stuff like that doesn't happen overnight. We just ignore it until it starts screaming. There's a health coach who says this, and I love her. She says, your body will whisper until it has to shout.
Mm.
And I love that thought. It's like, yeah. And when it starts shouting, that's when we're like, what? But it's like our kids, you ignore them until they're like, Mom.
Right, right, right. Just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just I mean, and yeah, and just like you said, like with kids, I've got these kids, and they most certainly sometimes I wait until they shout.
Yeah.
Other times I, will address them when they are just sort of walking around calmly saying, "Mom, can I do this?" Because I
Mm-hmm.
have a child, our middle child. Who is our middle child? Turtle Boy. I don't even know my kids. See, how can I remember 56 names for sugar? I don't even know my kids' names. But Turtle Boy, he's his own person, of course, and he's a delight in his own way. But he will literally walk by me while asking me a question. And so I might only hear part of the question, or I hear like, "Mom," right? Like, wait, what'd you say? And he's like, and then he'll come back and he'll do it again. He'll walk by me and
Mm-hmm.
he'll talk. He's talking and walking, but he's walking like past the room I'm in, or like walking through and out of the kitchen and back through. And so I have no idea what he's talking about. I have no idea what he's saying. And then he stands under me and he's like, "Mama, Mama, Mama," and I'm like, "Son, I have no idea what you said."
Yeah.
So,
He's
yeah,
practicing to be a husband.
uh, Maybe, because I tell you what, the oldest one, he's definitely practicing that, because I see behaviors that are mine, of course, because I'm his mom, but I also see behaviors that that are not mine, and that just very well might belong to an older gender, same gender,
Yeah.
well, his gender, boy, but older, and I see that sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of stress, but. I'm listening to you talk about what you do and the way you like to, the way you work with women and encouraging them and building them up. And it sounds to me like in your own way, you do a lot of the same thing that I do in my business, where I listen to what people have to say and I mix up their words and I turn it into something else, which really is the same thing that they just said, just differently, so they can have content for their business and so on and so forth. But it sounds like you also listen and then reflect to whomever you're listening to what you're hearing or seeing them say or do or even not say in some cases, and you're helping them to sort of weed through that to find their own way.
Yeah, one of the things that I really think is important is to help people see things in a different way. So many times, and this fascinates me, I guess that's the only word to say it, is fascinates me, but so many times I'll be on a call with someone and they're talking about something, and all you have to do is just ask a simple question. I'm trying to think of an example and nothing's coming to mind right now, but just ask a simple question, like maybe, let's just say maybe what your son is doing to you in that how he's answering the question, asking the question. Maybe that's really stressing you out and you're very frustrated with it. I want to fix him. What do I do to fix him? And this is a terrible example, but just to say.
That way it works.
But just, so they're not talking about it. Maybe I ask you a question like, well, why do you think he's doing that? And you tell me what you think. And next thing you know, you've got a whole different perspective on it. And it's so simple, but it's that fact of being outside of the situation because I'm not emotionally attached to it. So I can see it from a whole different angle. And I love doing that. I kind of find myself doing that just naturally with people anyway. It's like, well, why, what if you thought about it this way? And
right.
And that's part of the stress release, because once you start to think about things in a different way, sometimes it can really just give you that different perspective that you needed to kind of feel differently about it, and to realize that maybe it's not personally about you. He's not doing that to you on purpose, Kendall. He's probably doesn't even know you can't hear him,
Right.
So,
and he's 3, so no, he doesn't realize that when he walks out of the room and he's still talking, I cannot hear him, especially if I'm washing dishes and the water's running. Or I'm at the stove cooking, with the stirring and the boiling and the this and the that, like, how can I hear you? But and you're so right about that perspective, because even using that example, which seems kind of silly, it is true, because sometimes I really have to make sure that I look at it from his perspective. He is trying to tell me something or ask me something, and he thinks that I'm not listening. He doesn't realize that I can't hear him because I have all these other noises, and Mama Bear can really only focus on maybe 2 things.
Yeah.
And that's usually making sure that I don't scald my hands in the hot water, or that grease isn't flying off and hitting somebody. Yeah, so it's totally true. It's totally true about that. Now I'm gonna look real quick and see. I know I saw a few things come up, so I just want to make sure if there's questions or comments, we want to respond to those real quick. And then if you have something special that you want to share, I think you hinted you wanted to share something. And then I have my Starlight round of questions, which are a surprise to you.
Yes.
So let me look here, because we want to make sure we're always answering questions. People leaving in the comments. We love questions. Let's see. So Karen, I don't know, Karen, if this is rhetorical or not, but we're all women here, so I think it's one of those question statements. And she says, why is it women think they have to make everyone happy? What about making ourselves happy?
Well, and I know that that is true. I mean, that has been me for so long. And the funny thing is, it's actually my husband who taught me that I don't have to make everyone happy. So, so that's kind of funny because it's usually the husband that's like, you're really trying to make happy, right? But I really think that that is just how we naturally are. Most people want to make other people happy. And like you said, we're women, we're nurturers, that's kind of our job. You know, we're going to take on our children and try to do everything we can to nurture them and give them the best life possible. We want to make our husbands happy. We want to make our parents happy when we're little and now, you know, so, you know, throughout your whole life. So it's just our natural thing. But then, like she says, what about making me happy? And I don't believe it was ever intended for us to neglect our own happiness in trying to make other people happy. It's just kind of that thing of you, like you said, you can only do so many things at one time. And in doing that, it's like, okay, well, this one needs this and this one needs that. And as you're kind of inundated with everything, then who gets put on the back burner? Well, you do, because you can always come back to you, right? And that goes back to that thing of when your body's gonna whisper until it has to shout. Well, it's the same thing with your own happiness. You might not be happy with something, but you'll deal with it. I would say, I'll deal with it, you know, I'll handle it, no problem. But until it just gets to a point where it's like, you know, I can't take this anymore. I've got to do something for me. So I think that we can do that in a way that's not selfish. We don't have to feel guilty about it. And that's where those little bite-sized pieces come in, because you can fit those into all the other things that keep you so busy. And little things, you know, make the biggest difference.
Right, exactly. Little things can make such a huge difference. I mean, it may sound silly, but think about, hopefully this is okay for the watchers. I don't know, but you know, think about how small a cell is, right? A cell is incredibly tiny. I mean, they're usually tinier than a grain of salt. Like, seriously, a cell is so small. And you know what little cells do? Little cells couple together, and eventually they make these big humans. Some like kangaroo grow here, and then, you know, we all kind of grow up. But the point that I'm making is that everything in my life anyway, and then, you know, talking with people like you, or anybody really, and listening to the things that I hear people sharing as it relates to their business, you know, when I'm helping them to create additional content, is that it's small things always lead to something bigger. And it's just us taking the time and being, you know, patient and in a community surrounded by encouraging people where we continue to make those small changes. Or we do like Karen said here in the comments when she said, sometimes she says her body has whispered for so long that she's deaf to it, and now she's just tired. And that's something that will happen to all of us if we're not surrounded by people who are going to help us to listen and help us to respond in tiny, teensy ways. Now, what's one of your super favorite ways? This isn't the Starlight questions. They're up in a second. But what's one of your super simple, smallest ways that you've ever shared with somebody, or the favorite way that you love to share with somebody about starting to make shifts and listening so that they can release some of their own stress?
That's a good question. So many. How do I pick?
Well, you wrote a whole book on it.
I did write a book on it. And there's more. I could do a volume 2. So,
that sounds like a fun little thing.
Yeah, I have to do that. Well, here's something that I shared the other day, and people really liked it, but it's so simple. And I'm really guilty of it too. I'm probably not doing it right now. But one of the things that when you're feeling that energy slump and you start to notice that you're not feeling right, one of the things you can do is simply sit up straight.
Grab some chocolate.
Yeah,
okay, never mind.
No sugar.
Oops, I wasn't supposed to tell my secrets. That's not the right thing to do, everybody. Don't listen to Kendall. She's not the stress release coach. Anita is.
Don't worry. I have some other things for you coming. But now, one of the things you can do is just like check your posture and then start to breathe deeply. Because when we're kind of slumped over the keyboard, and I know you know that since what you do is type all the time, when you're slumped over the keyboard, it can make you shallow breathe. And then that you're not getting the oxygen, you're not getting the energy that it gives you, the life that it gives you. So check your posture, sit up straight, breathe in deep. And, it only takes a couple of minutes and you start to feel a little better again. Now, of course, that doesn't fix that chronic fatigue. We're not talking about in that particular instance. Chronic fatigue is not something you just like, oh, okay, sure, I'm done. But it can really go a long way when you start to, like you said, string a little bit of that together. So Can I tell them? Can I tell them what I have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have, this is not the book, but I can put the link for that too. But I have something called afternoon energy boosters. And it's just like, I think it's 7 or 8 things that you can do in that quick of a time, just in a couple of minutes. You're not gonna have any hair when we're done. And,
I know.
But it's just a list of things that you can do to boost up that energy in the afternoon, so that when you start to feel that slump, like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're just kind of starting to drag, you don't have to go for the chocolate. You can do these other things instead. So I can put a link to that when we're done. I'll put it in here if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want the link because we all should probably not grab chocolate or cookies every afternoon. So
not unless you want to end up like, with the health things.
I know. It's terrible. My excuse is, well, it's a reward. Yeah, that's a lot of rewarding. No, but seriously, I love what you shared just about the sitting up and the posture, because because I do spend a lot of time at the computer transcribing, creating content, listening to people's stuff, watching people's videos, that I know that what I have to do is I have to just mechanically, I have to sit up straighter most of the time that I'm at the computer. And when I start doing the slump because I'm tired or because I haven't gotten up for a break in the last hour, means
or
that,
4.
right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't going to tell, but, but that when I readjust my posture, I feel better. And it's like, oh, let me finish this and then I can go take a break. Or sometimes it's like, you know what? I think I'll just go take a break and then I'll come back and I'll already feel better so that I can sit up again and get back to my work. So that was a really great tip, and so simple, so small, so easy, just like you said. I love it. And okay, Starlight Round questions.
Okay,
here we go.
I'm ready.
Here's the thing about the Starlight Round questions, Anita. There's no thinking. You just respond.
Uh-oh. There's no telling what'll come out of my mouth.
Well, but you'll see when you hear the questions, the point.
Yeah.
Okay? Here we go.
Okay.
Question number 1 is, tell me what your biggest personal change was in building your business.
Honestly, wow, that's a hard one. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, which is what you want, is that I have always felt like a super confident kind of person until I really started doing this. And then it's just in doing the online stuff, there's just so many new things that I didn't know. It's so many things to learn. And so I guess just being a beginner again, letting myself be a beginner again has been kind of a challenge.
That is a big challenge.
Yeah, because I'm used to kind of learning things quickly and catching on and being like, okay, got this. Yeah, go on. Go teach somebody else. I'm good. But online has been more of a challenge for me.
And I don't know about you, but online, it seems like there's something new almost every day, right? Yeah. It's some change somewhere almost every day. Oh, yeah. And so, I totally get it. Like having to be a learner, I have to balance that myself. I have to make sure that, that I'm being kind to myself about being a beginner with some things, and with other things, also going back to the fact that I do have confidence, like, oh, I did learn that. I have heard about that. It is okay for me to do it, right? So I totally get that. Totally get that. I love that one. Okay, question 2. Share with us your biggest dream goal for 2019.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, somebody was calling. I don't. Why are you calling me?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, biggest dream goal for 2019.
Okay. All right, don't laugh. But I really would love to do a retreat somewhere. And nothing's in the works for it yet, so I know it's probably not going to happen in 2019 because it takes forever. But yeah, that's what I'd love to do. I'd love to get a group of women together and not just be online together, but actually be somewhere by the beach, of course, and and yeah, pull us all together so we can have a couple of days of really sharing and building each other up and renewing our
Releasing
energy
stress.
and releasing that stress. That's right.
Yeah, I love it. No, I love that idea. And I can totally see you leading a retreat. I can see like reflexology sessions. I can see like information sharing sessions. I can totally see this for you. I can see it, and I can see you facilitating it. Because like I said before, you guys, she's like velvety chocolate. Like I must really want some chocolate.
You must, yeah. That's like 8 times you've talked about chocolate.
Right, yeah. I do really like chocolate. I had a friend recently say to me, she said, after this many years of friendship, I'm pretty sure I know that you like dark chocolate. Okay. Because she said, I think we were scheduling for like try to have like a, tea or something somewhere. And she was like, oh, what do you want? I said, anywhere that I can get chocolate,
Hey, you know what, Kendall? At least you know what you want.
I do. I want chocolate. But totally, I can see you leading a retreat with a few women, and I'm getting the number like 4 or 6. I don't know. It might just be me making it up, but I just feel like, oh wow, that would be so cool to see you just kind of with women doing some stress release and helping them to. Because one thing about retreats is that sometimes they're a way to congratulate ourselves for having done the work to have achieved some goal. Like, doesn't mean that we're all the way healthy again, or all the way this, or all the way that. But if we've worked really hard, I could totally see it. I see it. Okay, all right. Last question. It's just 3 questions in the Starlight Round. Last question. What is your biggest life or business challenge right now, and how would you like to see that change? And if you've got ideas for ways that we can help support you.
Okay. So you said my biggest life or business challenge now?
Yes.
And how I'd like to see that change. You asked some hard questions, lady. My biggest challenge right now is I think just really for me, my biggest challenge right now is getting all of my technical stuff set up so that I can feel like, because if you go to my website, you're just going to find my book. That's what you're going to find, a link to get my book. But yeah, so I'm just working on that stuff. So right now, I guess that's my biggest challenge right now. And the way to help me is just, can somebody do that for me? I don't know. But see, the thing is, nobody can really do it because it has to be what I want it to say. And as you can tell, through our conversation, I have so many different things to say. I guess I'm like, where do you focus? I'm kind of like one of those, what's that thing? Like if you have a picture that's got so many different things going on, and it's like, where do you even look? I don't even. Yeah. So that's kind of me. If you could see inside of here, it would be. You'd be like, what do you look at first? So much going on here.
But you know what, Anita? I think we're all like that in different ways. And especially if we own a business, or we're entrepreneurs, or moms, or wives, or people who have careers and they want to get somewhere. I think we're all like that. We have lots of stuff here, and we all have to figure out how to say it. We all have to figure out how to say it in a way that other people understand. We have to figure out how to say it in a way that sort of captures in a small, segment what it is that we are saying and what it is that we do mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's a journey for everybody. I really do. I think that's a journey for everybody. I'll say this. It's not my area of expertise, but I'll say this. Just do the website. If you want to do the website, do the website. If you, I know you're building your group on the Facebook and stuff like that, then do that, and the rest will follow.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say that. I know you already know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know.
Great to hear it, though.
Right, yeah, and it goes back to that first thing that you said. The biggest personal change is realizing that you have to be a learner again. You have to be a beginner, and it's totally fine to be that. I think that everybody is really a beginner. It just maybe in different ways and in different areas. So anyway, so that's my little tidbit, my little thing for today, I guess. Listen, I really enjoyed talking with you today. I would love for you to share with everybody. Let me make sure there's no more questions. Let me make sure. Okay, we have Pamela here. Yeah. She said that she loves the format and she is enjoying seeing both of us live like this.
Hi, Pam.
Yeah. And Karen is here. We talked earlier and answered her question. Before we go, please share with everybody any social links, your website, all that stuff, where people can find you and connect with you, where they can learn more. And we'll make sure that we'll put the links in the bottom for your social networks. We'll put the link definitely for your book and for that 6 to 8 handout. Was that a handout you said?
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Yeah, so we'll definitely make sure that we have the links for those in the comments below. Before we go, I just want everybody to know that if you tuned in live and you'd like to get a super free gift, you won't be added to my newsletter or anything like that, just drop your email below and I will send you just a quick little freebie extra thing for having joined us live. Anita, tell us where to find you.
Okay. You can find me on Facebook at Stress Release. That's the name of my Facebook page. And that's Release, R-E-L-E-A-S-E. Of course, we'll type it in there. That's my page. And I do have a group, if you're interested. It's called Sweet Talk, Self-Care for Women. And that's the one where I was talking about how we, building up, finding our own value. And I'm on Instagram, Anita Thomas CR, for certified reflexologist. And then my website, AnitaJThomas.com.
Awesome. And we can get your book at the website. Mm-hmm. I know that book is all about those little bite-sized pieces to releasing stress. And, yeah. And it's really fun looking. It looks like you're at the beach. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So people find Anita, find out more about her, visit her websites. Like she said, it is Anita Thomas, AnitaJThomas.com. On Facebook, she is Stress Release, and her group is Sweet Talk. And then also on Instagram, Anita Thomas CR, because she is a certified reflexologist. Anita is very approachable. Talk to her. Find out more about her. Of course, my social links, Me Organ, transcription and content creation. I work with entrepreneurs and small business owners to reframe and repurpose their own content. I do that through transcription. I do that through images. I do that just so that their words are out there and they're able to reach more and do more in less time, do more with less in less time, and go live the life they love with the time and freedom that they would desire. So, and of course, you can find me on Facebook.
And Kendall's
you can find
great.
me on YouTube. Say again? Say again. The
I say, and
video
Kendall's great, and when you see my things, you'll see some of the things she's done.
Well, thank you, Anita. Thank you very kindly for that shout out, that testimonial. See, she's so encouraging. This video will be uploaded to YouTube in a day or so, if the internet cooperates. And and so we'd love for you to join us, follow us. If you've got questions, if you're watching the replay, just let us know below. Drop questions, comments. We will respond to them. And look for the links we are adding as soon as this video ends. Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you for being a guest.
I really appreciate it. It was so much fun.
All right. Now, everybody, including Anita, let's all go sparkle and shine in the world. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.